Hello and welcome. Good morning. You're watching Market Cafe with me, Snehi Shah. With me is Shreyansi Singh, and well, you're watching ET Now. Now, this is a show where we're going to take you through all the important updates that we've been tracking for you from India as well as globally while we were fast asleep last night. And in the second half of the show, we'll also take you through all the stocks that could be potential buzzers in today's trading session, as well as what brokerages have been flagging off for us this morning, the stocks that have made it to their radar. But with that, let's kickstart the show with the global handover. And Shreyansi, stellar moves coming in from the US markets, brilliant moves in fact, and the S&P 500 is also very close to finishing the entire quarter at a 10% record. So tell us what's happening with the US market.
Absolutely, it's very interesting what we've seen happen with the US markets when, like you mentioned, record day coming in. But when you look at futures, then futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 32 points, or about 0.8% thereabout. S&P futures as well inched a little bit lower, and same can be said about nasdaq futures as well. But when you look at the regular trading session, that's where you've seen the bulk of the moves coming in, like you mentioned. So a stellar day, stocks rallied across the board when I'm looking at it. And when you look at S&P 500, that gained 0.8% thereabout, closing near that record high. Those are the kind of levels that we've seen come in for that particular average. When when you see Dow Jones Industrial Average as well, that also advanced 477 points, or 1.2% thereabout, for its best day in 2024. So those are the kind of moves that you've seen on Dow. And the tech-heavy nasdaq as well added 0.5% thereabout. Those are the kind of moves. And the major averages are also tracking for their second consecutive winning quarter and the fifth straight winning month. Now for the quarter, when I'm looking at the moves, stellar moves coming for the quarter as well. So when I see the S&P 500, that is up about 10%. It is on pace for its best first quarter gain since 2019 when it rallied 13.1%. The 30 stock Dow as well up 5.5% during the period is tracking for its strongest first quarter performance since 2021 when it advanced 7.4%. Nasdaq as well is up 9.3% in the quarter thus far. So solid moves coming in when I'm looking at both on a quarter basis and on a daily basis then. And when you look at European markets, what you've seen is that they closed slightly higher on Wednesday, regained a little bit of steam after a subdued start to that particular session. When I'm looking at DAX, that saw an uptick of 0.5%, and when I'm looking at CAC 40 as well, France's CAC 40 was up around 0.3% thereabout in that particular session as well.
Well, alright, so stellar moves coming in from markets globally, but with that, let's also take a look at what's happening in the world of crude. Rather volatile day for crude yesterday because crude oil futures fell for a second day yesterday as US crude stockpiles rose, but however, they managed to recover later. Now, WTI managed to hold on to those 81.8 levels, so 0.6% uptick coming over there as well. Brent also comfortably above that $85 per barrel mark at $86.5. So while holding on to those gains is Brent as well, 0.5% uptick on that front too. Now, US commercial crude stockpiles, which exclude the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, rose by 3.2 million barrels for the week ended March 22. This is according to the Energy Information Administration, which is the EIA. Now, gasoline inventories rose by 1.3 million barrels. Domestic crude production was unchanged at 13.1 million barrels per day, and products supplied to the market to a proxy for demand fell by 100,000 barrels. So WTI has gained 13.5% for the year. And when you also look at Brent, what it has done for a year-to-date basis, it is up 11.7%. Pardon me, not year-to-date, for the financial year basis. This is what Brent has been clocking in. But with that, let's also shift focus and talk about gold, because gold prices gained on Wednesday as investors awaited a key US inflation data later this week, which could provide more clues on the Fed Reserve's policy path. Now, spot gold was up 0.5% at 2,209 per ounce, but managed to slip slightly after that, but a nominal downtick, not much to worry about. And the US Core Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, which is the PCE, that is due for the month of February, that is due tomorrow. So the index, remember, had risen 0.3% in January, so we'll be watching out for that piece of data as well. But with that, Shreyansi, take us through all the important cues that we need to be tracking for the last trading session of the financial year and the one before the long weekend as well.
Absolutely, like you mentioned the PCE data, but then when we're looking at domestic then Nifty 50 and Nifty Next 50 rejig is likely to come into effect. So keep an eye on that. Nifty weekly as well as monthly expiry also will be on investors' radar. And in terms of global cues, you've got US initial jobless claims as well as GDP data coming in, and for the UK as well, there's GDP data. So keep an eye on those data sets as well. And in terms of corporate action, what will be in the spotlight is CRISIL, because that has an AGM and persistent shares will be trading ex stock split. So keep an eye on that counter as well. Now, it's the last day to buy to be eligible for dividend for CRISIL, REC, R Systems, SBI Card, Hoodco as well. And in terms of the IPO watch, of course, there's SRM Contractors IPO that closes. So that will be in the spotlight. And in terms of other cues to track, then last day to use Section 80C tax saving provisions and T+0 settlement beta version to be launched on BSE. So those two news flows will also remain in focus. So that's largely the events that you should keep an eye on.
Well, absolutely. And the two most important highlights today on Dalal Street are going to be this Nifty rejig that is definitely going to happen today. And Shriram Finance is expected to see the highest inflows, and also the T+0 settlement cycle on BSE. Remember, this is unlike the normal trading session beginning at 9:15, and the trades for under this settlement cycle will only be ending at 1:30, and this is only for a limited 25 stocks. But let's kickstart.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.